So I was on Twitter the other day and saw a thread discussing a certain movie, one that seems to be very divisive, inspire a lot of conversations about what the artistry of film and whether or not. Okay, enough bullshitting. You know what they were talking about? The fucking Chip and Dale movie that came out last year, or maybe a year before. I don't know. The year seemed to blend into me for me nowadays. But anyway, they were talking about how the film was bad, that the creators must have hated animation and wanted to ruin the franchise or whatever. A lot of people in the comments agreed and just took what the Twitter users had to say at face value. But then there were people like me who was thinking, wait a minute, weren't y'all glazing this film like not even a year ago? Because I remember people sharing clips from the film and talking about how great the jokes were and how, despite the faults of the film, it was a pretty good movie with a decent premise and fun laughs. Like, I remember people being like, oh my flippin' god, Ugly Sonic is back and he's actually pretty funny. Or, Chip and Dale movies, an underrated masterpiece that stands among shoulders of other hybrid animated films like Who Framed Roger and other boring shit that people say to make themselves feel more cultured than they actually are, so they can masturbate to how intellectual they are. Which I'm definitely guilty of if you've ever read my fucking Letterboxd reviews. Like, holy shit, I'm trying to sound like freaking Peter Travis from the Rolling Stone, but less professional sounding, so I end up sounding like some mid-wit hipster who thinks understanding Donnie Darko is some intellectual achievement. Which, by the way, I saw that film and thought Fred was like some figment of his imagination or something, so when I found out he was actually real, I explained my misunderstanding, and this blue-haired they-them type said I watched the film wrong. Like, I'm sorry I said the film in a totally non-literal way. I have the video essayist brain where I can only view media as some pretentious metaphor for schizophrenia or some other benign observation that film bros talk about as if it's some sort of profound revelation. Maybe I'm just intellectually superior to your feeble intersectionalist mind. Just kidding. I'm just an overthinker, and I got nothing against the person who said that. I just thought it would be funny to mention because it exposes my hipster-ass mindset. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. The difference between me and these obsessive tweeters is that I at least have the self-awareness to stand by my opinion, even when it's not popular. But these mofos change their opinion on the second the Discord shifts. Like, all it took was some guy named I Want to Eat Out Lydia Pearson's juicy asshole from Pepper Ann 64 on YouTube for them to completely change their team. Like, y'all became the Milo Yiannopoulos of Twitter discourse. Like, y'all went to, like, Chip and Dale conversion therapy or some shit. And when you point that out, they get mad and are like, I hated it since it came out, or it's objectively bad, you just like bad media. And I'm just like, nice opinion. Did a YouTuber give that to you? Like, of course there were some people who didn't like it when it came out, but the vast majority of people thought the movie was good when it came out. Like, I know per capita is hard for some of y'all, but Jesus, you can't all be this thick-headed. And then they ask you about who was praising it when it came out, and I know that it's hard for them to fathom because a lot of YouTubers have seemed to delete their initial responses and put up videos shitting on the movie in retrospect, which is fine to change your mind on a piece of media, but to delete your initial thoughts like that is very Orwellian, as they say. Anyway, this thing has like an 80% credit score and like a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not a good argument on why this is a great movie, but just shows out what the public perception of this film was at the time. And it seems to be now it's still like that. But if you mention that to these people, they ignore it. It's like they're the no is no war in Bossing Say girl. They are Pavlovianly conditioned to have the most contrarian take possible, which I can understand. We all want to be unique and be the guy to explain why someone's favorite story is actually garbage. And don't lie, you do the shit well all as well. That's why the angry review trend is still a popular genre. Even if the genre shifted from being more angry to being more sarcastic, because everyone wants to hear about the masterpiece they grew up with being actual garbage. That's why there are so many Super Mario 64 is actually bad videos. People love to be contrarian online, especially if they can get clout for going against a popular opinion. I have seen people try to say Batman the Animated Series is bad. Like, bruh, everything you like about Batman was reinvented in that series. You like the fleshing out of some of the minor villains, like the Mad Hatter or Clayface? That was made popular predominantly because of the animated series, going to great lengths to humanize the villains. You like the gothic, dark deco art style associated with Batman? Well, that was mostly Tim Burton, but the animated series did a great job of establishing that style in their show. You like Harley Quinn? She was literally created in the animated series. And let's not even mention how y'all glazed the Arkham series when the cast and even the fucking writer of those games all worked on the series. Now, I don't want to put this kid on blast, but it seems like he watched like a few of the lesser episodes of the series and then decided to form his judgment on the series on the few bad episodes in a sea of goated content. Anyway, what I'm saying is that people are more opinionated than ever. But with that comes more pressure to stand out. And since it's no longer cool to like something, then that is popular. A lot of people start to base their taste on how obscure something is. Like, how many reactions they can get when they say something beloved is bad. And don't act like you don't engage in that behavior. It's one thing to not like something because it's not to your taste. That's fine. We all have those universally beloved movies that we just don't vibe with. Hell, I really didn't care about the Arcane series from Netflix. It was great visually, but the soundtrack was trash with that Imagine Dragon shit. And if I don't fuck with a movie or TV show soundtrack, then it gets hard for me to want to watch the movie. Like, that's the main reason I don't fuck with Disney movies that aren't, these. Not including Pixar, since those are great for the most part. So yeah, I don't like Arcane, but I'm not going to go around saying it's fundamentally flawed or shit on people for liking it. It's like religion. For example, someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he considers himself a bit of agnostic, but he won't mock someone for being religious because he would be a huge asshole if he was just like, you believe in a sky daddy, or where I believe in science. I'm superior to you, fucking redneck scum. Or something like that. Like, the reason atheists have become somewhat of a laughingstock online is because they let their relatively sound understanding of the natural sciences make them arrogant and think they are just little Jimmy Neutrons brain blasting all over their God delusion like it's their holy text. Well, guess what? I'm gonna brain blast all over your mom, ho! Don't fuck with me! These people are like the midwit Liam. That they are so obsessed with sounding smart by not believing in something that they forget that many of the great scientists of the past were men of God. And that is how you all sound when you shit on someone who likes a movie that you deemed were not up to your standards. Like, bitch, have you ever stopped to think that maybe they like the movie not because it leads up to the impossible standard in your head of what you created for yourself of how movies are supposed to be, cinema or whatever? Which is another thing. I fucking hate film discourse on Twitter. That the idea that every movie has to be the most well-thought-out, thought-provoking, or philosophically rich artistic achievement possible. But that video is for another day. Another thing the Twitter mom likes to do is forcefully hate a movie. Like, it started with that Turning Red movie and had just gotten out of control. Like, y'all treated Ruby Gillman, a pretty average kids movie with a decent message, like it was the spawn of Diablo himself. All because the fish girl didn't have a passionate lesbian sex scene with a mermaid or something. Like, it's one thing to say that there's missed potential in the story. Like, there are plenty of movies that I thought would be better if they went in a different direction. But y'all vilified the movie like crazy and treated it like some fucking bubonic plague. And it's not just movies. Shows can be victims of forced hate as well. Like, that Velma show seems to be pretty bad, but it doesn't look anything worse than a lot of adult cartoons now. Like, have you seen most cartoons on Netflix? They all look like babies that were stomped on by the mother's baby daddies. Like, look at Big Mouth. That shit looks nasty as fuck. Or BoJack, where all the characters look like they have been frozen in place due to how stiff the character rigs are. Like, I've heard it's a good show and has an interesting premise, but the animation style makes me not want to watch it. Like, I have the same problem with Modern Family Guy and The Simpsons. If you watch those early episodes of The Simpsons and some of those later episodes, you see that the animation was a lot more smooth and fluid than now, where it just looks like they drew the same 5 poses over 1,000 times. Same problem with Family Guy, but to a lesser extent, because that show has always had a bit more of a limited animation. Like, I remember when every adult cartoon had more dynamic animation. Like, even a show like Clone High, which was literally flat geometric shapes, still had more dynamic animation through poses and body language. But now every cartoon has the same flat, rigged animation with the same 5 poses. And that's not even getting to how most shows look like a second-rate Family Guy or Rick and Morty. Like, what is this? What was I on again? Oh yeah, the forced hate the show Velma gets. Like, the 2nd season came out recently, and y'all were making fake screenshots of the show to justify shitting on it. Like, it's one thing to criticize a show, but to create fake screenshots to complain about is wild. It's really like the creating fake scenarios in your head to get mad about them meme. But you motherfuckers do it completely unironically. Like, it's gotten to the point where someone can just say that they like a show, and a 500-pound Redditor will comment, L plus ratio, you fell off, bozo. And other dumb NPC responses when they can't contribute to the topic but desperately want to be part of the conversation. And when you ask them why it's bad, they just respond with, because it just is, okay? Or they point to a YouTuber review of a said piece of media. And I get you. Sometimes they have a hard time articulating their points. So it's good to have someone who can voice some of your opinions for you. But here's the thing. You're your own fucking person. You don't need a YouTuber to tell you what to think about a TV show or movie. Like, you have a fucking brain. Use it. Like, don't just take my word for it. Come to your own conclusion. It's like the Beatles said. Think for yourself, because I won't be there with you. I do think a lot of this mob mentality comes from these YouTube critics who don't do enough to dissuade their fan bases from taking their word as literal gospel. So they attack anyone who disagrees with their favorite YouTuber whose dumbass opinions. It's almost like a cult, the way these viewers punish those who deem as heretics, who go against their favorite soy tuber and their related take on how Blade Runner is secretly an allegory for Dirk's repressed transgenderism or some other bread tube shit. Obviously, the YouTuber is not solely responsible for their audience, but they should be aware of the power of viewers and shape public discourse. Like, of course, they aren't as influential as like Taylor Swift or other big-name celebrities. Like, they probably couldn't sway an election, but they can influence the discourse around particular niche they belong to. Hell, how much of the hate Rewind 2018 got that wasn't influenced by Implement's Tank the Rewind campaign? Or to describe the PewDiePie campaign being pushed by Mr. Beast. Yeah, it failed, but in the end, it was still close. What I'm getting at is that YouTubers have this incredible ability to shift public opinion in a way previously only reserved for celebrities and public figureheads. They need to take responsibility to not cultivate an audience who are prone to attack anyone for the slightest disagreement in opinion from their favorite YouTuber. Like the recent Illymation drama. Yeah, it's bad she was doxxed, but she also purposely tried to pander to an audience prone to canceling and commanded them to attack Think Before You Sleep's YouTube channel. Like, at some point, you get what you fucking deserve. Anyway, internet critics are a great way to find out if a movie or TV show is right for you. It's not a good thing to have them form your opinions for you, though. Watch the film for yourself. See if you like it. I just find it funny that everyone wants to be an individual or have a unique taste, but they parrot the same talking points about media and how films are objectively bad, when art is subjective inherently since it's based on human emotions. Anyway, I think I rambled long enough. I hope you found this rant entertaining and look forward to the next batch of videos. There's a script for this video, but I'm mostly going off what came to me while writing. Anyway, if you liked this video, be sure to... Oh, forget it. If you want to subscribe for yourself. I'm not your dad. Thanks for watching.